Welcome back, everyone, to another great episode of the Colonie Pit, where we catch up with our favorite Colony friends and alumni. And on today's show, we have a great guest I'm excited to talk about. And Rex, let everyone know who we have here on the hot seat with us.
Yeah, John, I'm excited as well. We have one of the best athletes to ever walk the halls at Colonie High, someone who I've known about, I know a little bit about, but until right now, I've never actually had a conversation with him. But he's well known in the Colonie High record books, and from what I've heard, an overall really good guy. From the class of 2000, we'd like to welcome JJ Harvey in the house. JJ, welcome to the Colonie Pit.
Thank you for having me. Big fan of you guys. Been watching you guys from a distance, but like I was talking to you guys off camera, just love history and stuff like that. So I think this is a type of show or podcast needed all over the place, I think, just so we can be documenting things correctly and things of that nature. So glad to be on board.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to get all into your history and your story and where you've been and what you've been doing back in the day and present day. But just to kind of get you warmed up here, we don't have warm-up music, but we got some warm-up questions. How about that? So we'll try to keep it Colonie here, but let's take it back to you graduated in the year 2000. That's correct, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll take it back to like the late 90s or 2000, and let's say you got a sugar craving and you want to go to Curver Cream to get some ice cream, and you got keys to your car, somebody's car, I don't know, maybe your parents, whoever. Who are you taking to Curver Cream with you? You get to pick 4 other people to take with you, and what flavor are you getting at Curver Cream?
So this might indict me a little bit, but Colonie, I've been in Colonie for most of my life, adult life. When I was in high school, I think we had just moved there and stuff like that. So I was never a big fan of the Curver. I never went there. I know it's a famous ice cream spot. So if I needed something sweet, I was just going to go to the mall. I was going to take the back road or the back path over by the baseball field and go right to the mall and get me something, probably out of Barnes & Noble or something. But if I were to take somebody to Curver, the people that I hung out with, my best friends was Rob Gibson Jr., Marcus Rhodes. I'd probably leave my brother right now. My brother was hanging out with some different guys, so it was, I'd probably leave him back on the wayside. But definitely Rob Gibson, Marcus Rhodes, and
I need 2 more.
2 more. Whew. James Chambers, good friend of mine. And yeesh, that's a tough one. Who else would I have? Probably, I guess I'll bring RJ. RJ can come.
Throw your brother in.
Cool. Yeah. And then my favorite flavor, I don't know if Curver has it, but the only ice cream I used to eat was maple walnut. So I don't know if they got it over there or not, but I was a maple walnut guy. So.
All right. Well, we'll have to check that. Next time I come into town, I was there a few weeks ago, and I was at Curver Cream. But next time I come, I'll check out if they have maple walnut. But,
okay.
Awesome. All right, John, go ahead.
All right, JJ, here he is. You need a new pair of basketball sneakers back in the day. What mall are you going to? Northway Mall, Colony Center, Crossgates, or as I always like to say, the infamous Mohawk Mall? Which one you heading to?
Definitely Crossgates. Mohawk wasn't even, I think they were turning into more of a plaza like it is now. It wasn't even like a mall type of thing anymore. So when we was here, so definitely Crossgates if I had to pick between the two. But again, I was probably just walking across, taking the back path towards the baseball field and going to Colony Center, going to Foot Locker. So.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool. Fair enough. That was my spot too. Foot Locker and Colony Center.
Yeah.
Couldn't go wrong. There's also another place called Herman's, but I don't know if Herman's was still open by the time you got to high school. John and I are a little bit.
It was there, but it was. I think it was shutting down or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. John and I are a little bit older, class of '93, so it might be a little bit of difference there.
Yeah.
But anyway, Your favorite place indoors to play basketball in Colonie? Is it the Mug, the Pit, or the Colonie Community Center?
Oh, the Mug by far. Mug by
Mug?
far.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely the Mug if we got a chance to get in there. But yeah, the Mug was my favorite place to play.
Okay.
Yeah, good floor.
Yeah, a much better floor than the Pit. But someday, John, we're going to get a guest who says they like to play in the Pit. It's not going to just be me. But
I
anyway,
had some good games in the Pit. Don't get me wrong. Definitely had some good games in the Pit.
Yeah.
I think the Pit's more of a shooter's gym. Like
it is.
my jump shot felt really good in the Pit. Definitely. So I played a lot of games in the Pit. But yeah, the Mug I'd rather play in.
I don't blame you. All right, go ahead,
Yeah,
John.
the Pit was like the Boston Garden back in the day. So, all right, here we go. What was your favorite sport to compete back in the day? Was it basketball, football, or track?
Favorite sport too? It just cut off a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
what was
your
favorite sport to compete in?
Yeah, so yeah, your favorite sport to compete in back in the
JJ
day.
were football, basketball, or track back in the day. What was your favorite sport to just simply play, basically?
Definitely basketball. I've always loved basketball. I was probably better at football than basketball, but yeah, just something about basketball. I feel like I could express myself a lot better playing that sport, whether it was organized or, pick up or anything, one-on-one stuff like that. So definitely basketball.
All right, cool. Similar question to my last one, but now we're going to take it outdoors. Your favorite outdoor court to play hoop on in Colonie? We got the outdoor hoops at Leishikill School, also known as the toughest rims in the Capital District. West Albany Pocket Park.
Yeah.
Avon Crest Park or Stanford Heights Park. Or if you got a different one, feel free to name it.
Well, this is a great question. So I live by Leishikill, so we was always over there. That's when Leishikill had the square hoops and the holes in it. Sometimes we had the chain hoops over there. Sometimes they took them down, but Leishikill, tough rims. We had some great battles over there at Leishikill. So that was the court I spent most of my time at. Definitely. My favorite court is one you didn't mention because the rims are low at Locust.
Oh, yeah.
So we used to go to Locust so we could dunk and stuff like that before we were dunking. So we used to go to Locust every once in a while just to say I could dunk on somebody and the alley-oops and all that fun stuff. So, but Leishikill out of the choices was the one we spent the most time at.
Yeah, if you could shoot at Leishikill, you could shoot anywhere because those rims were iron tight. I remember the backboards with the steel backboards with the holes in them. And Chuck Dukes and I used to play one-on-one there. And I got to tell you, like, neither of us were really great shooters. So, and we add those rims in. Our one-on-one games would take like an hour to get to 11.
Yeah.
Because those rims were tough.
I used to invite a lot of people, like even outside the area, to come play. We used to set up a lot of pickups over there. And I would always say if I could hit a few jump shots, that would intimidate the rest of the team because they weren't hitting jump shots. So it's like, this guy, home court advantage. So, Leishikill definitely.
All right. Personally, professionally, what do you have going on?
Yeah, just like any other person, I'm working 9 to 5. I work over in the Troy School District right now. I coached last year for Troy. I was the assistant varsity coach last year at Troy, but before then I was actually coaching over at Bishop Gibbons in Schenectady. I was the JV coach over there for a number of years. So just doing that. And then, after my 9 to 5, I'm usually working with student athletes across the Capital Region with skill and development. My business, the Nilius King Basketball Academy, the 518 chapter, I've been doing for almost about 14 years now. And it's been really, really good. Great chance and opportunity to develop relationships with the student athletes and, watching them improve as, not just athletes and students, but as people has just been fulfilling for me. So that's what I spend most of my time doing. And then, I have kids of my own, so my kids, they'll run me ragged here and there when I get a chance to see them, and they're in this Colonie School District as well, playing sports and stuff like that. So
Awesome. How old are
that's
your
pretty much
kids?
it.
How old are your kids?
We got my daughter Jasmine, who will be turning, I want to say 13. I want to say 13 in November. And my son just turned 12 or 11. One of them, I can't remember, but he just turned in July. So
Okay.
he's going there. He's at Leishakill going to 7th grade. And Jasmine is going to be a freshman in high school.
Awesome. All right. Cool. You mentioned you're over in Troy now, and is our he was one of my old coaches, probably yours too, in some form or the other. Coach Carmelo still running the show over at Troy School District?
Yes, he's the superintendent. Everybody kind of always asks me about Carmelo because I always kind of tell people Carmelo was my JV coach at Colonie, and he was easily probably the most influential coach I had in my development. Just, going from a boy to a man, and, just those types of things being taught to me on the court. I credit him with that. And I see him every once in a while over there, but yeah, he walks through.
Okay. Well, shout out to JC. I'm sure he's still got a good jump shot.
Competitive is all, how he did.
Yeah. He took no prisoners on us on the court, no doubt.
Right.
But good guy. So that's cool. All right, so now let's go back the other way. Tell us about where you grew up, if it was or was not in Colonie. Where were you born, that type of thing. And in the Colonie area, you said you grew up in the Leishakill area, but who were some of the other people maybe like around your age growing up in that same general area of Colonie? So I guess first question is, did you always live in Colonie and go to Colonie? And then the second question is, when you did live in Colonie, kind of who else was around your neighborhood, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, so I was born in the Midwest in Ohio, Lorain, Ohio, which is, I think it's like a suburb of Cleveland. So everybody's always asking me why I'm such a big Cleveland fan. That's it. Most of my extended family is out there on my father's side. We moved to Troy, New York, when I was like 4. So I spent a lot of my time in the capital region. I was only out there for, obviously 4 years. So my dad got a coaching job at Hudson Valley, football coaching job. So that's what made us move to Troy. And I was in Troy for a while where we ended up going to church. And then we ended up moving to Watervliet a little bit. And then we finally moved to Colonie when I was probably, I want to say 9, something like that, where I started going to, even though we were in Colonie, my dad ended up teaching in the North Colonie School District. He was a phys ed teacher. So I ended up going to school in North Colonie, even though we were living in Colonie, South Colonie. And at some point during middle school, we ended up transferring to Colonie. So we always lived in the Leishakill area, right across from Tab Furniture. So we've always known Chucky Dukes. Chucky and Chad used to live, walking distance from us in the same neighborhood. And we knew the Dukes from church. So a lot of his fathers and uncles attended our same church. So we were kind of knew of each other then, even though I didn't see him that often because obviously he was a lot older than I was, but we knew that he lived there. And, some other guys that lived in our area, I don't know if this will ring a bell, but Vern Fonda.
Oh, yeah.
So Vern Fonda, who I went to school with, football player, I think he's like a camp, I'm not a fire chief, but like he's somebody that's, I can't even, it's coming off my head.
I think he's Chad and Chuck told me because he lived basically across the street from them.
Right,
I think he's involved in like environmental
right.
conservation officer, and I may be messing that up, but
You're
something to
absolutely right.
do with
It's
that.
something to that nature. So, and Vern is was always a great spirit to be around. If you ever get to know him, Dad was into football too, so
Mhm.
we had that connection when I was like doing popcorn over there at Colony and stuff like that. So, but the Fondas stayed in our area, and it wasn't a lot of athletic wise. Those are probably like the few people that stayed in our area. I made a lot of friends with a lot of kids that went to Colony, obviously, but they weren't into sports as much. They would come to, our house and play sports because we
Yeah.
play sports. But as far as notables, not that many. Those are probably the closest in our area that we grew up around. So um,
Okay.
that was. Yeah, that's what we stayed at, and so we did a lot of things like playing sports. We also like rode our bikes through the neighborhood, doing jumps and all that good stuff back
Yeah.
there in the woods, and riding our bikes all over the place. So that was it.
Cool. Cool. So you went to Leitchkill for middle school, then Colony for high school?
Yeah, so Blue Creek Elementary, then I ended up going to Shaker Junior High School for a year or two, and then transferred to Leitchkill Middle School for 1 year,
Hmm.
and then ended up going to Colonie High.
Okay. Awesome. And then so growing up, was your sports always football, basketball? I know you ran track in high school too. Did you get into any like baseball or soccer when you were younger, or were the sports you played in high school primarily what you were doing when you were younger too?
Yeah, when I was at Shaker, so like my dad was the football coach over there. So we used to football was his sport. So that was a sport that we probably spent the most time doing, me and my brothers. And then there were other things to do. So he signed us up for, like Little League and stuff like that. So we did Little League for a while, which I was really good at. I was really good at baseball. I think it was just the pace of baseball wasn't for me. So if I had to pick one to give up, baseball was definitely the one. But, money wise, I probably should have stayed with that. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, baseball was good. There was a lot of times, even when we were at Shaker running through the halls, like during football season, was also volleyball season. So, we used to go hang out with the volleyball teams a lot, got to play volleyball a little bit with some of the high school teams and stuff like that. And, I remember a lot of the coaches making me the line judge. So we see that all the time. And so I'm familiar with volleyball a little bit. And then basketball was just always a thing for me. I don't know if it was for the rest of my brothers, even though we played, but basketball for me was like the thing that just drew me all the time. So
Yeah.
basketball and track was just one of those things I tried my senior year because my dad, I had two younger brothers, but it was a competitive household. So he made sure of that. And so things like you getting run down and stuff like that, don't never let nobody catch you from behind. Yeah, that was a big thing. So like, who's the fastest in the house? He used to brag about his 40 time, and so we were always trying to beat that and all that good stuff. So yeah, we were definitely an active household, competitive household, but lots of love and stuff like that.
Nice. Awesome. So talking about high school, you obviously you definitely did basketball, football, and track. But if my not based on what you're telling me and what my memory serves me, I believe basketball was the only one you did all 4 years, though, correct?
Correct.
Football was the first three, maybe?
First three, and then I stopped my senior year to focus on basketball. And then once basketball season was over with, I did track pretty much for fun. I was,
Gotcha.
Coach. Shout out to Coach Palmer and Coach Green. They was always trying to get me to do track, and I just said I wasn't doing it, but I ended up doing it my last year. So and did pretty good. We did good. We
Yeah.
did good that year. So
Yeah, no, definitely. I saw you and your brother are still in the Section 2 record books, I think, for the 100, maybe the 200 as well.
yeah,
But you're still in the top 10 somewhere.
right.
So That's
Right.
pretty impressive. You were pretty fast. So, I
Yeah.
remember you're fast on the basketball court too. So, no doubt. Um, how your dad being you said your dad was a football coach, right? So, how
Correct.
did that decision go over with you saying, I ain't doing this football thing anymore?
Ooh, here comes this story. So here we go.
Yeah.
So, my dad, uh, very proud with the football. When I told him that I wanted to focus on uh basketball, I could see in his face the change, like how it got somber a little bit, but he tried to hide it. So he made a suggestion that I would try to go to the Syracuse football camp that summer. And he knew the football thing wasn't for me. I just didn't like getting hit and none of that stuff. Like I could hit, I could want to hit, but me getting hit, I'm not doing that for the rest of my career. So he said he convinced me to go to the Syracuse football camp, which was just helmet, shoulder pads. And we went there for a couple of days. And what ended up happening is I did so well at the football camp. Coach Pasqualiani, who was the head coach at Syracuse at the time, brought me in right after camp and offered me a full scholarship at Syracuse. Wow. Right? And I was a little shocked, but he was just asking me questions about how you like play defense. So they were on the defensive back part of it with me. And I don't know if my dad told him I wasn't gonna be getting hit all day. So I don't know if the wide receiver thing wasn't going the way he thought it was. But he asked me if I wanted to play some bump and run or man to man or zone. And I remember these questions, but the only question in my head was, I won't mind playing football, but will I be able to play basketball as well? Right. So I asked Coach that. And I thought it was a legit question because at the time, the two-sport athlete in college was like a thing. Like Donovan McNabb was there. He was playing both sports. Julius Peppers was all over the place. Antonio Gates at Cal was all over the place. These are guys that we were kind of looking up to as student athletes in high school that was like, yo, they're playing two sports. That's a good thing. So I asked the question based off of that premise, and Coach P kind of shoved that to the side. He said, who wants basketball? Don't worry about that. He kind of told me that right to my face. And I was just like, oh, well, I'll get back to you, but I ain't get back to him.
Now, when this is all going on, was this after your junior year or before your junior year? Did you say?
This was after my junior year.
Okay. So
I just finished my junior year.
Okay. So at that time, did you also have offers for basketball in your back pocket that you already knew about?
Yes. So I had a big AAU campaign that year with the City Rocks. I was playing with the Capitals previous years. My father decided to put me with the City Rocks just for more exposure, obviously, even though the City Rocks wasn't what they are now. Like they're a brand now, but back then we were just kind of getting started. So I had a big AAU campaign, and I was ranked in the country. I was around 50th or 51st in the country. I had some big games, some big tournaments. And so I had a lot of college coaches calling, coming to practices and workouts. That's when coaches were showing up right at the practices, not just calling and texting and stuff like that. So I had a few offers, but they were all like mid-major offers. So like the Siennas of the world, MAC conference, East Carolina was probably the furthest one that I had. Mount St. Mary's.
Right.
These schools had given me offers, and I had planned on making official visits to. And most of them I did. I think the East Carolina one and the Mount St. Mary's one, I couldn't make it because at the time there was a hurricane. There's a hurricane along the East Coast or something like that. So we had to cancel.
Yeah.
So I had a good number of scholarship offers, but they're all mid-major. So my father thought Syracuse, hey, that's way bigger than ones you got.
Right.
You might as well stick with football.
Yeah. Now, Mount St. Mary's, you're talking about the Mount St. Mary's in Maryland, I'm
in
assuming, correct?
Maryland. Yep.
Yeah. I actually went to basketball camp there, believe it or not, when I was
Wow.
in middle school. My dad took me down there because the DeMatha High School coach, you're probably familiar with DeMatha.
Hmm.
Their DeMatha's summer camp was at Mount St. Mary's, so I'm very familiar
Wow.
with the Mount. So yeah, I went down there for summer for basketball camp. But cool. Well, they're all good schools, and we'll talk about more ending up at Siena and where that took you in a second. But
Hmm.
talking about your experience at Colonie in terms of basketball, I remember you playing varsity. I think I started watching you probably when you were trying to think this through now. You were in 11th grade because Brian Larrabee was a year older than you, correct? And
Yes.
Lucius was probably a year younger than you.
Well, I was the same age as Larrabee, but I got held back when I got transferred over to when I went to Colonie. I got held back for that year. So me and Larrabee have been playing new sports together almost since I was in Colonie. So I've known the Larrabees for a long time. But when I transferred, he was in a grade higher than I was.
Right. That was my point. Is he was in 12th, you were in 11th, and
Right.
probably like Lucius and your brother RJ,
Was
that is,
underneath,
were in
yeah,
10th.
a year underneath.
All right. So that's probably when I started watching you. But like in ninth and 10th grade, were you playing varsity? Were you playing JV? Kind of where did you start?
So I was always playing a year up. So my freshman year, sorry, my freshman year, I was playing JV.
Okay.
But I got moved up for sectionals that year.
All right.
So I played in for the sectionals that year as a freshman, and then obviously the years after that, I was playing varsity.
Okay. Cool. So you had Coach Carmelo. You said was your JV coach. So you had him in ninth grade, and then you. I'm trying to think this through now.
Kilmer,
You probably had Kilmer the rest of the way,
yeah,
right?
Kilmer the whole way. So right
Okay.
when uh, the coach that spent a lot of time with me was Coach Fowl. So he was the athletic director, and he was the former varsity
Yep.
coach before Kilmer there. And I had spent a lot of time with him in the off seasons and stuff like that. But I think once I was about to go varsity, I think that was the year he had stepped down because his son was playing
Right.
for the program. So I don't think he wanted
Yeah.
to coach his son.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I played for all of them, so
Mm.
in some form or the other. Faust, Kilmer, and well, Carmelo was one of the assistant coaches when I played, so he wasn't my
Okay.
direct head coach. But yeah, I played for all of them, plus Coach Lanny too, so I know them
Yeah,
all.
Lanny was my freshman coach.
Yeah. So cool. So talking about those Colonie teams, because like I said, I started watching you play in 11th grade, and then your senior year and stuff, and you had some really good teams. Obviously, I think from what I remember, you won back-to-back sectional titles, probably your 11th and 12th grade year, because I think I remember watching
Correct.
both those games. And I still say your 11th grade year, best Colonie team ever,
Yeah,
hands
that was
down.
our best team. I think that team, hands down, we felt like um, we shouldn't we felt like we shouldn't even lost the state championship. It was one of the weirdest games for us because I had gotten into foul trouble. But those teams, um, we were so together on the basketball court. We went into games with a certain confidence. And it seemed like throughout the year, our confidence just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think it had to do with probably even last year. The year before that, we got to the Section 2 title, but we lost to a great Schenectady team
Oh,
with
yeah.
James Thomas,
Yeah.
Willie Dean, Hoffman, O'Connor. This was like a large, long lineup. A lot of these guys went to play high division one, division two. But I think that year, nobody expected us to be there. And we ended up getting there and we lost to Schenectady. But I think that all season was just like, yo, we're really good and we'll find out how good we are. So I think every game that year just kept getting better and better and stronger and stronger. And then I think that was the year Lucius got moved up. I want to say he got moved up. Maybe he was already there, but adding him on that with me and Larrabee, we just really felt pretty good. And after we won the section for the first time, we ended up going to the state tournament, obviously the regionals and the state tournament, and we were like beating teams pretty easily, I would say. So we was kind of just riding the momentum up, real confident, and it was really a shock for us. We felt like we lost to a White Plains team that year that was not better than us. They didn't really have a lot of great players, but they were a sound team, and we ended up losing to a good team. But we felt like we were way better than that team, and those are one of those things you wish you had just to cap off that year with that state title. But that team, we always hear about, the young team that just had a good year this year. They was talking a lot of stuff this year to us, so we had to remind them a little bit. But
No, I did see that team play both through YouTube, and I actually did go back to watch a game because I played with Joe Tremarky, and obviously his son plays on the team. And, they're really good. They're really fun to watch, and they had a great season. Unfortunately, they ran into a buzzsaw in the sectionals.
Right.
But I'll rank them high, but I'm still ranking your 11th grade team as number one.
We got a lot of parts. We definitely had a lot of parts.
Yeah,
and Tremarky can talk because we had Mike on our team. We had his uncle on our team that year too. So Mike Tremarky played with us that year. Was it that year? Maybe the year before. He might have been the year before.
Yeah, I think
Mike might have been the year before.
I don't remember seeing Mike out there because I know Mike. He might have graduated when you were in 10th grade.
Probably the year before. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe that was when we lost to Schenectady. But, Michael talked to Joe and them.
yeah. Mike's a good guy too. He's a good shooter in his own right.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, we're gonna talk more Colonie High memories and then get into more of the college life and all that when we come back for part 2. So stick around, JJ, and for all our audience, please like and subscribe and tune into the Colonie Pit. We'll be right back.